Now we're going to take a look at some recording, not recording, but doing recursive procedures within a let statement. Alright, so let's look at the practical example of where we have a an iterative function, such as factorial iterative, and let's just define that real quick. Okay, so define fact it lambda. Well, first of all, let's define fact. It's just in case you've forgotten how it is. Alright, if equals n 0, then 1, else multiply n times the fact of n minus 1. Alright, let's make sure that works. Fact 5 120. Alright, then we also defined fact it, which is the iterative version of factorial lambda n, and then we use an accumulator, and if equals n 0, then we return the accumulator, otherwise we do fact it of n minus 1, and we multiply n times whatever was in the accumulator already. And if you recall, this was a little bit more memory efficient, because this fact will end up running something like fact of the, it'll be like times 8 times 9 times 7 times 6 dot 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 times 1 times 1, and so it has to remember all these things, which is alright for most of the time. But if you got like a bazillion digits in your number, then this is going to overload your memory a little bit in your computer. So fact iterative just puts it all in the accumulator every time, so it doesn't take up any more memory than itself. It doesn't expand depending. If you have a really big int, it doesn't make any difference. It takes up the same amount of memory as if you've got a small int. Alright, but the problem with this is that let's run it to make sure it works actually. Alright, so fact it 5, remember that was 120. Alright, now the problem with this is that you've got to remember to put the 1 in the accumulator, and that is not very useful for people. Alright, so what you could do is just do this. Fact it n of 1. Fix those parentheses. And now when you call fact, then fact of 5, you get 120, but you just ran this one instead. But maybe that's alright for this fact iterative, but what if you've got a function that's got, like 20 different helper procedures, and you don't want to pollute your global namespace with a bunch of bindings to function names, to helper function names? Wouldn't it be nice if you could define fact iterative within fact and then call it from within there, since that's the only place you're going to be using it from? And you can do this using the let statement. Wink wink, it's actually not the let statement that you use, but we're going to do it like this, and then there's going to be an error, and then you can we can change it to letrec, and it will work fine. Alright, so fact it lambda, well, let's just paste all that, paste it in here and get the tabs right. Okay, so now we've got fact it bound as a function inside of this let statement. Okay, then let's oh yes, and then we just call it down here. Let me make sure. Okay, let's finish up those bindings. Let's get rid of that, and then we'll run it, and you can see the error that I was talking about. Alright. Fact of 5. Reference to undefined identifier fact it. Okay. So let's take a look. Remember what happened when you tried this. Let x equal 5 plus x. Let's try that then. See, that's the exact same error. Alright, so this doesn't actually get bound. You know, it's not bound yet. That's the problem. So when you look for it, it's not finding it because it hasn't been bound yet. Now this doesn't make sense, of course, anyways, because even if it did get bound somehow magically, then you'd set it to 5 plus whatever it was. But well, it's sort of like a chicken and an egg problem there. Okay, but this one makes more sense. If you've got a lambda statement, you should be able to call it, you know, within the lambda statement. And there is a way to do that, and you just have to use the letrec command. Now it ought to work. Alright, fact 5, 120. Alright, so whenever you want to define a helper procedure, which you're going to have to do in some of these assignments, you can use this nice letrec statement. And this also, I believe, allows you to, let's say, fact 5. And let's bind it to fact it of 5, 1. Let's say we just want to have that hard bound because we like to call that one, and we'll just call fact 5. Now this is no longer the fact function, but it is a function. Alright, so let's try this. Fact 5. Alright. Procedure application expected procedure given undefined. Arguments for 5 and 1. Okay, so this shows you that you cannot call previously defined functions within the letrec statement. Oops, what was that? Get that spacing right. That looks a little better. Okay, so it's sort of like when you did this. Let a equal 5 and b equal plus 3 and a. And then, you know, like b. But it doesn't work because a hasn't really been bound yet. You had to use let star to get it to be bound. So if you really want to use fact it, then you have to do it within the body somewhere here. Or you could call just fact of 5 because fact has been bound up here. Alright, let's try this. Fact. Well, it doesn't matter because it's just going to run fact 5 here and return what that is. Oh, now you notice this is an infinite loop. Okay, so do you know why? It's because fact 5. Let me stop this, it's really going crazy. Alright, so fact 5. Just break. Thank you. Alright, we broke. Okay, so this is an infinite loop because I think it's still going. That's not a very good break. I'll just kill it. Alright, that's fine. Alright, so this when it calls fact, then it goes up here and then it calls fact 5 again, and fact 5, you know, comes up here and calls fact 5 again, and it just keeps going forever, so it's never going to finish. So you'd have to call fact it somehow, and because I've got you so involved in this, I'm going to call it for you. So you just do another let statement here, basically. Let fact 5 equals fact it 5 1, and then you'd return fact 5. Oops, my mouse pad just fact 5. Well, this is pretty pointless though, because you could just call fact it of 5 if you wanted. Alright, fact 120, because it just goes in here, binds fact 5 to fact it to 5 and 1, and then it returns that.